Right now, go look at your Monstera, specifically at the distance between each new leaf as it comes off the stem. Those gaps between nodes. If they're getting longer and longer as you go up, wider than your palm, your plant isn't doing that because it's healthy. It's doing that because it's quietly starving for light, and it has been stretching, literally elongating, trying to find more of it. And here's the thing. You've probably been looking at that stem every day thinking it looked fine, maybe even thinking it was growing well. It was growing, just not in the way you think. I grew monsteras for 5 years. 5 years? And I cannot tell you how many times I moved one to a shelf that looked bright, watered it on a schedule, watched it put out a new leaf every couple of months, and thought I was doing a decent job. I was not doing a decent job. What I was doing was keeping a tropical rainforest plant in a level of light that would make it technically survive, while it quietly ran out of reasons to do anything interesting. The care advice I'd been following: indirect light, keep it away from direct sun, it'll tell you when something's wrong. Was not wrong exactly. It was just missing everything that actually matters. So, etiolation. That's the word for what your monstera is doing when those inner nodes stretch out. The plant is allocating energy not to making leaves, but to extending its stems in the direction of more light, trying to get somewhere better. In a forest, that works. In your flat, it just makes a leggy, wobbling plant that never fenestrates properly because it doesn't have the photosynthetic capacity to bother. And here's how you actually test whether your light is sufficient. Lie on the floor next to your plant and look up. If you can't see a clear 180-degree arc of sky without your ceiling or walls blocking most of it, your monstera can't see it either. That's the bar. Not bright and indirect. An open view of the actual sky. And this connects directly to why your monstera might never have fenestrated. Those holes, those iconic splits and gaps in the leaves, are not decorative. They are the plant solving a problem. A monstera in the canopy has its lower leaves starved of light by the upper ones. Fenestrating the upper leaves lets light pass through to the lower ones. It's a structural adaptation. The plant only bothers to do it when there is enough light that managing light efficiently is actually worth the metabolic cost. In low light, it doesn't fenestrate because there's nothing worth managing. So if your monstera has been producing full, solid, unfenestrated leaves for years, it's not that your plant is immature. It's that it's decided the light situation doesn't warrant the engineering. Give it more light gradually and watch what happens to the next few leaves. Gradually is doing a lot of work in that sentence. Monsteras acclimate to more light over 2 to 3 weeks. Move the plant incrementally closer to the window. Watch the leaves for any pale yellowing or bleaching. And if you see that, slow down. The goal is bright indirect or even some gentle morning direct. An east-facing window is nearly perfect. Just don't go from a dark corner to a south-facing windowsill in one afternoon and wonder why the leaves look sunburned. They will look sunburned. If you're still here and you haven't already gone to lie on your floor next to your monstera, hit subscribe because we go this deep on houseplants every single week. I promise the floor test is worth it. Natural CTA placement, around word 550. Okay, the light thing makes sense once you know it. What I genuinely wasn't prepared for was the aerial roots. Look, I cut them off for years. Every time one of those thick, corky tendrils started reaching out from a node, I snipped it off because it looked untidy. It felt like maintenance. It was not maintenance. It was me removing the plant's primary structural and moisture-gathering apparatus and feeling smug about how tidy the stem looked. Aerial roots in the wild anchor the monstera to trees as it climbs. In your home, if you direct an aerial root, and I mean physically guide it, into the soil at a second node point, you're doing two things. You're stabilizing a plant that is structurally a climbing vine trying to pretend it's a houseplant, and you're giving it an additional water and nutrient uptake point. The root finds the soil, establishes, and the visible growth above it becomes noticeably more vigorous. I cannot stress this enough. Stop cutting them. Coil the ones you can't direct into the pot, tuck them out of the way if aesthetics matter to you, but leave them. They are not clutter. They're infrastructure. And while we're underground, the soil. This is where most monsteras actually die. And it's almost never because of underwatering. It's because of root oxygen starvation. Imagine trying to breathe through a wet newspaper. That's what standard potting compost does to monstera roots when it stays wet. The water itself isn't the killer. The lack of air around the roots is the killer. And water just accelerates the process by pushing all the oxygen out of the gaps in the soil. Root rot is the symptom. Compacted, poorly draining medium is the cause. The fix is specific. 5 parts compost to 2 parts perlite. That's the ratio. The perlite keeps air pockets open as the compost retains just enough moisture. It drains fast, which means you can water more confidently without sitting the roots in a pool of anaerobic sludge. Drainage holes are non-negotiable. A pot without them is a pot that will eventually kill the plant, full stop. Get that mix right, and the root rot problem essentially disappears. Before we wrap this up, drop a comment and tell me whether your Monstera has ever actually fenestrated on its own, or whether you're working with a solid leaf plant right now. I'm genuinely curious about what conditions people are growing in. Comment CTA, around word 900, right. There's one more thing, and this is the one that reframes a lot of fenestration disappointment in one sentence. Most Monsteras sold in garden centers, supermarkets, and flat-pack furniture stores are Monstera Deliciosa borsigiana, not Monstera Deliciosa deliciosa. They are not the same plant, and the difference matters enormously. Borsigiana is a smaller growing form. Its leaves max out around 50 centimeters. Deliciosa, true Deliciosa, produces leaves that can reach a meter or more, with deep, dramatic fenestrations and the kind of tropical presence that fills a corner of a room. The plants in the photographs you've been comparing yours to, the ones with leaves the size of a dining chair? Almost certainly Deliciosa. The plant you bought for 12 pounds at a supermarket? Almost certainly Borsigiana, which is a lovely plant. It's a fine plant, but it will never be that plant. I'm sorry. The most important thing I can tell you is that this isn't your fault, and it's not a care failure. It's just that you were sold one thing and shown photographs of a different thing. And nobody mentioned that those were different things. And the last myth, the one that causes more actual plant damage than almost anything else, is that Monsteras need to be repotted immediately after you bring them home. They don't. Commercial growers use appropriate media. The plant is already stressed from transport and a new environment. What it needs is to settle, to adjust to your light, your humidity, your watering rhythms. Repotting into a dramatically larger pot too early means a huge volume of moist soil around a root system that isn't ready for it yet, which circles straight back to the oxygen starvation problem. Wait. Watch the roots. When you see them circling the bottom of the pot or emerging from the drainage holes, then it's time. Until then, patience is not neglect. It's the smart move. Here's what I want you to take away from this. Your Monstera is not a passive, low-maintenance ornament that occasionally emits a new leaf. It is a highly responsive, adaptive, architecturally intelligent plant that has been quietly signaling its conditions to you. Through etiolated stems, unfenestrated leaves, aerial roots reaching across your windowsill, this whole time. You just didn't have the vocabulary for what those signals meant, now you do. Go check your stems, count the gaps, lie on the floor, and look up. And if you want to know what to do once those fenestrations actually start coming in, that's next week.